Folks, at the recently concluded Lake George tournament organized by Let's Play Scrabble, we witnessed an absolutely stunning final game between the number 1 and number 2 finishers, Jason Lee and David Spargo, with an ending twist that absolutely nobody could have seen coming. Going into the final round, Jason is 1 game ahead of David with a better tiebreaker. So not only does David need to win the game, he needs to win big to pass Jason and win the tournament. With that in mind, let's dive in. Jason starts out with 6 consonants, and without a valid word using the Z, he opens with long for 10, hoping for a better opportunity for the Z next turn. David gets off to a good start with his top scoring bingo of repining for 65 points. However, Jason draws an S and the first blank and plays visor for 34, keeping his 2 best tiles and giving him excellent odds of bingoing next turn. Now David is the one with only 1 vowel, and he plays grand for 18 to undouble his D's and N's. Jason draws all vowels, but that's okay given his NS blank leave, and he has 33 playable bingos here. Impressively, he chooses the option that yields the fewest bingos back to David in guineas for 64, opening almost nothing and fully blocking the E of repining while partially blocking the R. David once again draws too many consonants, and his dreams of a fast start are fading. He plays dart for 10 to keep his lone vowel, hoping to draw an S. Jason's standard response here would be jaw for 46, but he instead gives David credit for his S setup and sacrifices points to play dawn for 24, preventing a worst case scenario, knowing he simply needs to avoid a blowout loss. David answers with the standard Fey, keeping his best bingo tiles and once again hoping for vowels, while Jason plays Ahi to shed the J, knowing that if David had an O, he would likely have played Foy instead of Fey, so J overlaps are less likely than usual. For the 4th straight turn, David has a dearth of vowels, and he plays Ma'am for the solid score of 28 to open the right side of the board. Next, Jason makes his only clear mistake of the game, missing the Haji hook where they would play for 47 points. Instead, he plays Ye for 25, again taking care to keep the board nice and closed to minimize the risk of a blowout. Another turn, another consonant overload for David, who plays tack to again keep his lone vowel and pray for a better draw. Jason has the opposite problem, and rather than the aggressive outie, which opens up more space on the board, he continues to play it tight with uke for 21. Finally, David draws some vowels, but without a bingo available, he elects to set up a better hook for his S with gonad for 12. Jason can't productively address that hook with his 3 T's and 2 I's, so he plays ditto for 12 to at least block the D and to a lesser extent the A. For the first time, David has more vowels than consonants, and he balances this rack with a standout choice of Ohio for 26, keeping a very strong leave and tying the game. Fortunately for Jason, he draws the second blank just in time along with an S. Plays like Hipster are available for 86, but they yield heavy counterplay to the triple word score, so he wisely sacrifices 6 points to play Reposit for 80, yielding significantly less counterplay to David. With only 1 playable bingo, David has to play Realize for 69 here, even though it yields the exact sort of counterplay that Jason just successfully avoided. David then gets a ray of hope in the form of his draw of Corby's for 96. Could Jason possibly play a phony word here and let him get this down, reviving his chances of winning by 140 or more? Well, with Jason's draw of the B and low point tiles, he's looking for a play that closes off the bottom of the board, and he plays the very obscure Boliti for 37 points. David holds the play and considers challenging. If Jason is somehow wrong about this word's validity, David can win a challenge, play Corby's to vault into the lead, and revive his chances of actually winning this tournament. So he elects to challenge, a completely sensible decision given the game circumstances. At the challenge computer, the players confirm that the word is in fact valid, instead causing David to lose his own turn. Jason draws the X along with the normally clunky UVW combination. On this board, though, he's got a fantastic spot to use some of those letters in Wave for 51, giving him a 99-point lead. At this point, David is not winning by 140, but he can fall further behind in the standings if he loses this game. So he needs to buckle down and see if he can find a way to keep himself alive with only 2 tiles remaining in the bag. He still has Corby's on his rack, but it doesn't fit on the board, and it looks like his best play is Cobb for 23, hoping to get lucky with a bingo through the I and T of Reposit. However, Jason's going to know he has to block that area, and even if David draws something there, he won't get a chance to play it. So, what does David decide to do? He plays Cop for just 7 points instead, drawing DE as the final 2 tiles from the bag. The key to this play is the existence of the word scop, which represents a huge new threat with David holding the 4th and final S in reserve. The C is also a fantastic letter to place out in space like this for a setup, as its lack of 2-letter words prevents Jason from making overlapping plays that could block it. If Jason wants to obstruct Scop, he'll have to make a play through the C. Incredibly, with the X and the Q together on his rack, his only options for doing so are Loke or Flock. This looks like it should work, but with the tile bag now empty, Jason can see that David's remaining tiles give him the 7-letter word derbies. This would score 107 points hooking Scop, easily enough for David to win. While Flock would block this positioning, David could then simply slide derbies up 1 space on the board, still hitting a triple word score for 98 points, plus 44 points from Jason's rack, once again easily winning the game. Could Jason win simply by outscoring derbies with his own top scoring play of Fox for 38? Not quite. This would lead to a 3-point win for David. Incredibly, although his tournament victory is now secured, Jason is in serious danger of losing the game. He comes up with a brilliant idea. Instead of trying to play through the C, he extends Ran into Furan for 16 points, blocking Scop in a way that doesn't give David a new spot to play derbies. However, David has one fallback option here. Through the T, he can play Bestride for 65 points, or its more obscure anagram, Bistard, for 66 points, gaining an additional point from the 2-point D on the double letter score. David wisely plays Bistard, garnering the extra point, and it's a good thing he does because the 42 points he collects from Jason's unplayed tiles lead to a tie game, 397 to 397. This tie allows David to stay a half game ahead of 3rd place Zach Ansel in the standings, winning him a significantly bigger prize. The ending of this game was brilliantly played by both players. Rewinding back to Cop, the cutting-edge engine Macondo reports that this is the only play that gives David any chance in the game at all. In fact, it requires that David draw DE from the bag to threaten both derbies and Bistard, which happened to be the exact 2 tiles remaining in the bag. Then, from Jason's POV, the only possible play he could have made that would allow him to avoid losing the game outright was indeed Furan, the play he wound up making. Truly phenomenal play by both players, so perhaps it's only fitting that the game ended in a tie. No, David Spargo didn't win by the 141 points he needed to snatch tournament victory away from Jason Lee, but he played a huge role in one of the coolest endgame sequences I've seen in Scrabble and saved himself several $100s in the process. Not bad at all. Remember, for more live stream Scrabble events just like this, make sure to follow the Let's Play Scrabble YouTube channel. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.